Yeah, can we just do Yogg's Wrong without the keepers?
Yeah,
Yeah,
week 1,
Without the keepers.
that's the
Yeah,
plan. So,
yeah, week 1.
yeah,
Well,
essentially...
that's the Thursday release day plan, and the Tuesday
Thursday.
release day
Well,
plan would give
no.
you
Even
some
then, a Yogg hard mode is lower priority than a lot of other hard modes. It's one of the last one we're
Yeah.
gonna tackle. The reason being is the other ones we need to do to get to Algalon, and Algalon's just an extra boss
Right.
we want to kill every week because he just drops more loot, right? So
He drops a very good trinket.
yeah,
I'd
and
still
he
wanna
drops other
do-
hard mode boss loot. So
Yeah, I'd still like if it comes out on Tuesday when you have 2 raid days, I'd still like to try to do some hard mode Iron Council prog and see if we can get that done. If
oh
we
yeah,
get that
no,
down,
the first week I want
try
to
other
do that.
stuff.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I'm just talking like essentially the plan is Iron Council, then the Keepers because they're required for Algalon. So that's Hodir, Thorim, Freya, and Mimron. Then we'll do Algalon progression. The other thing with Algalon is you only get an hour per week. So we want to unlock that hour per week and then do that 1 hour, and whether we get him or not, after that, well, we already have all the other stuff on farm. That's when we now add Yogg and Vesak's hard mode into the picture, right? Flame Leviathan and XT are a bit tricky. You need to kind of slowly integrate them because they're gatekeepers towards the rest of the bosses. So we might need to do those ones normal just so we can progress on the other hard modes first. Otherwise, we could like grief half of our raid time not getting the bosses.
We can slow roll. Yeah, we can like slow roll Flame Leviathan because you just like leave a tower up. And that's the plan.
We're just gonna leave more towers up every week.
Yeah,
that's the plan.
Until we get good. But XC
so
is like I feel like it's
really good.
Try.
I wish I could pull it up more zoomed in. I can kind of. Oh no, I went too far. But pretty much what bosses we're talking about here, we have at the front Flame Leviathan, Raised Scale, Ignis, and XT. Everything here is pretty much face roll. We just talked about XT and Flame Leviathan. They're a bit tricky, but we're going to add them in slowly. Then we have Iron Council on the left here. This will be the first hard mode we do, and that's what we talked about last week. We might actually skip this boss and full clear the whole raid, and then come back to this boss, because you don't need to do it right away. Algalon's over here, so that's what we're working towards. Obviously, we're going to farm Yogg as quick as possible every week. So then when you get into what's called, what's this place called? Not 3rd level, it's called like the Inner Sanctum or something like that. So once you kill Kalgarn here, after Iron Council, and you cross a bridge, and now we are in the Inner Chamber. You have to deal with Araya. She doesn't have a hard mode. She's on normal mode. She's one of the easiest bosses ever. You can just face roll her pretty much. You just stack up and kill her. So we're not going to talk about that. We'll do it on a week where no one shows up. That being said, the achievement for her is a bitch, but it doesn't drop
Which
any
one?
extra loot.
9 Lives or Crazy Cat Lady?
Crazy Cat Lady. It's just
it's one of the hard Cat Lady was just it's
like
very
so
like
much you
hard
kind of want like extra tanks, but it's the last achievement you do to get your Gloria the Raider because it doesn't drop extra loot. So you have extra raid time and you want to burn. So generally you just go right to left here, kind of counterclockwise, and so we'll do Hodir first. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I went to Thorim. That was not the right boss. Okay, so Hodir. Let me just go to the fight here, and let me pull up one of mine too.
Hard mode Hodir fight is just kill him quickly.
Yeah, so that's the first thing.
Doesn't he have like a gauntlet to get to him? Or
no, that's Thorim.
Okay.
Why is this opening properties? What is going on with my computer?
No.
It actually bypasses.
Recount.
Okay, so this is what the Hodir room looks like.
Right.
So coming up to Hodir, let me see if I can find a video of that too. Sorry, I've been kind of adding in the trash with these bosses too. So this is Araya. I'll just kind of, you kill Kahlo. He's kind of a bridge here. And then you'll get to Araya, which is right here. She pats around this inner ring. It's a very easy fight, you just stack it up. But anyways, you can actually also see in the room, that's where you fight Yogg below, and this is where after the keepers will stand once you've released them all. So after you kill Araya, you go down this snowy passage. You have a couple single target mobs. The giants are pretty easy, kind of just tank and spank. Then you have two different mobs in here. You have the Winter Revenant packs, which is 3 mobs, and then you also have, you can see over there, you see that mound of snow? If you step on that, you'll spawn extra little worms.
Okay.
None of this trash is really hard. I just kind of wanted to quickly explain it. I believe you just kick some stuff and pretty much face tank it. I think you can one tank most of it. I don't remember any of this trash being particularly hard, and there's really not that much of it. But yeah, the biggest thing in here is just don't step on these snow piles and spawn extra ads. So yeah, I think that's 2 Winter Revenant packs plus the extra worms. 3 actually with this guy. I think they double pulled here. And so they do seem to do some AoE thing here. Sorry for the lag, I don't know why it's so laggy.
You know what, VLC?
Really weird.
This guy's using Windows Media Player. What's going on?
I don't view movies too much on my computer.
Jesse, did you reset your mic recently? Because you're kind of quiet.
Anyways, so we come up on Hodir. And so Hodir's just chilling there, and you have a bunch of dudes in ice. So let me go back to my other video. Okay, so essentially there's just NPCs in here that are going to help you on the fight once you start the fight and free them. So as soon as you start the fight, all of these ice blocks will become targetable mobs that you can kill, and then once you do, they're free. And they're just kind of generic classes. There's a shaman in there that provides buffs, there's a mage that provides buffs, and etc. So the shaman and the mage are the 2 big ones that you usually want to try and free as quickly as possible. But on the pole, you actually just want to kill everything. And I've seen some strats where they'll have just you break out the mage, and the mage will break out the rest. Or I've seen other strats where you just always break out all the guys from the ice cubes. I've seen both for hard mode, so I don't think it's really that important. Getting the hard mode for this fight is just killing him quick enough, and to do that you need to utilize some specific fight or encounter specific essentially world buffs, just like you would on Thaddeus or Lotheb, okay?
Thaddeus.
So let's go over some of those buffs on the wiki here, and some of his abilities.
We're doing study hall right now, Techno.
I see that. Is he gonna spank me with a ruler?
Only if you're good.
Okay, so he has a hard enrage that will never hit because the hard mode is way under that, so just don't even worry about that. That's only a boomer mechanic. So biting cold, so this is just a constant. This is the last boss in Nexus, so it's just a constant dot to you that's doing frost damage, and whenever you move it, it resets your stacks. So everyone needs to move a bit in this fight, and melee, you're pretty much just AD spam the whole fight, and you just take no damage from it, okay?
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
Yep.
Does that jump work, or?
Yeah, jump should work. It jumps
jumping I think works too.
Okay.
The
Works on
reason you
Strata.
might not want to jump here is you'll see in a second there's lots of stuff to dodge specifically as melee, so it's better to be AD strafing so you can have kind of you're not delayed in your dodge. Additionally, he'll do some Frost Novas, and he'll do essentially a big freeze. I'll show you exactly what it looks like. Let me just go straight to my video. Or let me just finish the mechanics, then it'll make more sense. So additionally, ice shards are just going to fall from the ceiling. They'll do knock back and frost damage, okay? So these are just constantly happening. And then the last mechanic is he has frozen blows, and he just applies this, and this is a duration self buff where he does frost damage instead of melee damage to his auto attacks, and this just mainly hits the main tank and whoever else is in front of him. So overall, this is a very simple fight. It really isn't that hard, but what's hard is utilizing the buffs, which we haven't went over, which we'll go over in a second, to kill him in the appropriate amount of time. So if I go back to this, we'll just show you all these mechanics. So throughout the fight, you'll see these kind of telegraphs spawning. These are where the icicles are falling. So you'll see that, and as a melee you move out, and you'll see occasionally you'll get novas. You can get trapped in them and then take the knockback damage and get knocked back. So you kind of want to avoid that and be constantly moving and be ready to dodge them. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Additionally, Isaac, this means occasionally you'll have to move the boss, but we'll get more into that. The main reason you move the boss is actually because of the buffs, which we'll get into. So occasionally he'll cast Flash Freeze. Let me go back a bit. So this is it. He's starting to cast it, and instead of the small circle telegraphs, you're going to get a couple really big ones, 2 or 3. There you get the DBM warning. You see these big ones. Everyone needs to get out of those, and big icicles will fall, but then they'll drop this snow pile, and everyone just has to get on the snow pile before he casts Frost Freeze. Anyone that's not on the snow pile will just get frozen, just like the mobs at the start. And this also includes the NPCs that coincidentally just aren't standing on the snow pile because they're not smart enough to get on it. They will be frozen again, and we'll have to re-break them out. Okay?
Do you know if I can shift out of that? Probably not.
Probably not, but honestly, it's like brain dead easy to not get frozen by this. Like, if you get frozen by this, you're low-key.
Well,
griefing. Like,
the
it's
Nova
so
you
easy.
can.
The Nova could
shift
be
out.
bad, yeah. And in situations like that, you should, like, if you get Nova'd and you're gonna miss the Flash Freeze, I give anyone's permission to call for like a dispel in that scenario. Those are things that kind of people. It's hard for a raid leader to perfectly call those. So.
The
Here's another
original
one.
release, you could not shapeshift out of that.
Yeah.
It could be janked on the second re-release. You never know, but if my memory serves, yeah, you couldn't. But you know, like was stated, it's negligible damage output. We could just leave the shit out of them and they go down.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on. Let's talk about the buffs, because this is the whole intricacy of the fight, to be honest. So, friendly NPCs. Before the fight starts, there's 8 NPCs in Heroic, 4 in Normal. Heroic just means 25. Okay? So let's go through them. There's a Priest, a Druid, a Shaman, and a Mage. And the 2 most important ones are the Shaman and the Mage. So let's go over what they're going to use. The Priest is just going to cast some bullshit smite damage and heal and actually dispel some of our Nova. So that's kind of nice. But it's nothing that game-breaking. The Druid will cast Wrath and something called Starlight. Starlight is actually one of the 3 buffs in here. So this will increase attacking and cast speed. So let me go back to my video and I'll show you here. So the Starlights are literally, you can see one right here. Everyone see that?
Yep.
It's literally like if you use that Star of Elune or whatever that marker thing is where the beam of light comes down. So a bunch just spawned. You see one there and one there. And
So you're saying I could grief people with Star of Elune? Excellent.
Probably,
I mean-
yeah.
Just roll.
So if you can be in these, you should. However, there's 2 more important buffs in this fight that we're going to go over now. So these ones, this is the least important of the 3. And you can see right here, it lines up that I'm in melee range. I have to get out of it for a second, but I'm trying to maximize as much as I can being in it, okay? Once again, this is a haste buff, attack speed and cast speed.
After the icicles land, does it leave like a little area of effect for a few seconds, or can you just immediately move into where it fell?
You can immediately move into where it fell.
Okay.
Yeah. But you know, knowing Blizzard, it's gonna be like SAF bomb, so just be careful.
Yeah.
So let's go back.
So it's gonna cause us to lose a mortal. Gotcha. Too soon?
So, sorry, I actually want to go from most important to least important. I should have done that from the start. So the mage is the most important. And so what they're going to use is they're going to conjure toasty fires. And so what this toasty fire does... Does it give me a real tooltip? Probably not. Let's see the comments.
Click on Wrath instead of Retail. At the top. All the way at the top.
Wrath of the Lich King.
Nothing? Cool.
Yeah. I can
Skip it.
maybe end the fight or something. Essentially, I believe what it is a % damage increase, and it's specifically on casters. So melee, I don't think they can provide it. So what it is you'll see, I can see it really good in this video as a couple. But they'll literally spawn what they look like, you know, cooking fires, but they're much bigger. They're more like an org bonfire.
Gotcha.
And essentially, the casters can stand in those. So this
Charlie,
is
you're
a
gonna 2 seconds.
affliction lock perspective, and you can see he actually has a weak aura that we need to make, where it's showing if he's in the beam, the shock buff, which I'm about to talk about after this, and then the camp. So the camp here, you see right there to the left of him where my mouse is.
Yep.
It looks like that. So they are a bit tricky. They're not as obvious as the other ones. It's kind of easy to miss them. And so what they will do is, I believe it's just chance on spell hit to apply a debuff to the boss. Let me see if I can find it here.
I linked the
You found it?
singed.
Singed, that's what it's called, yeah. Where'd you put it? Safe space?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so this is literally how you get the hard mode, this buff. So, inflicts fire damage and increases damage taken from magical spells and effects. It's just a straight percentage damage boost, and it stacks up to 30 times. So, caster, overall, their job in this fight is to get in the toasty fires and just get good debuff time on this boss with this. And we will just absolutely pump. This also benefits assassination rogues, it benefits DKs, it benefits enhancement. So it's not just the caster DPS, it's benefiting the whole raid. It's so much extra damage from this buff.
The whole raid.
One note about this, and this is a bit of a kind of a niche thing of this fight. You see how these icicles fall? How they work is when he's generating another icicle to fall, it will just pick a random raid member and say, okay, I'm going to drop it on this guy, and that guy has to move out. If it lands on the fire, it extinguishes the fire. And so what can happen is if people are standing too close to the fire and the icicle falls on it, we just lost one of our fires. So people have to stand close to the fire, but not too close that they grief our buffs. And
also,
so,
Yorick, the fires have affect only a limited number of raid members.
yeah, and there's several up too. You can see in this right here, 1, 2, 3. Is that a folly that just joined?
I came like 20 minutes late, like
Nice.
usual.
That's okay. Well, good to have you.
Stealth Baron, I
So
like
you can
it.
actually see, and I probably can't find the exact time. But
Alright,
I don't know
all
if you
flash
can-
streams, we're gonna kill all the NPCs.
So it should
after
be
this.
Wrath leaving.
I don't know if you can hear him
Site.
talking here, but it
All the
actually,
NPCs need to
someone's
die.
standing on the fire
Get
here
on.
and they grief it. So throughout the fight, he's actually
Charlie,
calling
you're
for
gonna
certain
T-Sack
people to move
Free our
away
friends,
from
they're
the
our friends,
fires,
kill them.
So
Don't
they
kill them, but
lose
free them. It's another
Okay, so that is the number one most important, and that's why you always break out the mage first. The other reason is the mage can just break other people out. So going back to our ads here, the mage will also just cast Fireball, and she can remove flash freeze from other NPCs. This is another reason why you break her out first, is she will break everyone else out, okay? That being said, if you can just conveniently cleave the other ones, go for it. And I think breaking them all out at the start makes sense, but in the middle of the fight, if we're going for the hard mode, generally you'll get one flash freeze, and it becomes kind of less important then, but you need to get the mage out to get, because you don't want your singed buffs to fall, right? And if the mage gets frozen for too long and the debuff is like at 30 and it falls, it's not great. And honestly, I haven't done it enough to know that might just be the reality. It always drops because you just can't get the fire quick enough after, but we'll see. The last ad is going to be the shaman, so he casts lava burst. He's pretty much just an Ellie shaman, and he will give friendly players Stormclad, which gives the storm power buff to the raid. So let's look at both of these. Charges nearby friendly target with lightning, increasing crit damage by 135.
Ooh.
And I'm guessing it's the same thing. So we have 3 world buffs now. We have a haste buff for attack speed and casting. We have a percentage spell power increase, and now we have a crit buff. And so how this one works is essentially
that's crit damage buff, not a crit buff, right?
crit
Yeah,
damage.
crit
Sorry, yeah. It's like a hell meta. So this one is the hardest to play around, and I actually have it right here in this video. And so as a melee, it's great, because just as soon as one melee gets it, all the melee get it, and the melee just absolutely pop. Aside, the melee can't really do a lot of micromanaging with the buffs. Really, all you can do, Isaac, is just move us under the moonlight, whatever it's called.
Yep.
So that's really all you're trying to do to help the melee. The casters, you want to kind of like find a spot where, you see 3 fires, kind of put them near that so the casters can all be in range and spread out amongst the fires. Because you don't want, like, you want kind of like, you know, no more than 3 to 4 people at each fire, and you want the raid a bit spread because of that, right? And you never want the raid completely stacked, because that means the raid's going to have to move a ton to these icicles.
Okay.
So
We keep him like, it looks like he's keeping him in the center of the room a lot. Like, is that what generally I should have?
Yeah, I think so. Just because
unless like there's a lot of fires on one side and it's out of range.
Yeah, it's just you have the quickest path to anything you need to in the middle, right?
Yeah.
So let me go back and actually let's watch the hard one clear. I know his UI is a bit AIDS.
It says makes his melees do AoE. Does that mean like does he melee when like the big things are coming down?
Or blows? Yeah, I think they cleave. I don't think they hit the melee. But
yeah, it cleave. It's like a frontal, right? So like when I'm getting out of the big icicle falls, do I have to worry about him hitting the melee if we're all getting out together, or does he not attack while he's doing that cast?
He still attacks, but the melee are kind of just on their. They just have to do like, you dodge the icicles first, and if you see one dropping on the melee, pull it as well. Maybe I'm not I'm misunderstanding.
The big freeze thing. Yes.
Oh yeah. Okay, so repeat it now.
Does he melee during that?
I don't think so. I think he casts.
Okay.
Let me see. I don't know. He doesn't have a cast bar here, so let me look at mine.
You have a cast bar where?
I believe I have a cast bar on this one. Flash freeze, yeah. So it's a cast. I just saw it. He's gonna do it in a second here. Flash freeze. See that cast bar?
Yeah. That's all I need.
Yeah. And it's hella long. Like it's very, and so you don't actually get on till like 3/4 through the cast. But it's very, when you're in the fight, it's very intuitive. It's just like all of a sudden there's these snow piles. You get on, and if you're not, you kind of just done.
You just get out of the big circles of death.
Yeah, it couldn't be more straightforward.
I think so.
So yeah, that's pretty much the fight. It's really not too complicated. He will do the frozen blows, and so generally what we can do is we can use Hand of Sacks, Pain Suppression, all of those when those buffs go up. So to do the hard mode from this, like obviously the buffs are the number one. It is a mechanic check over everything. If you're not doing the buffs properly, you're just not going to get the hard mode, no matter how many DPS you have or what DPS. Maybe if you stack a bunch of fucking unholy DKs, but essentially what we're going to do is we're going to push how many healers we can drop on this fight. And I know healers, this is a bad news to hear. This is not the general trend of Alduar, though. There's going to be a lot more healing-intensive fights in Alduar. This is not one of them. Not to say there isn't healing on this fight, but generally people will 2 or 3 heal this fight so that your healers can go to an off-spec DPS. We're probably going to have a Folly go Ret here, Colts go Ellie, and Beach go Shadow. And I think we're planning on just doing Resto, Disc, and 1 Holy Pally. And then we might even drop the rest of Druid if it's not needed. That being said, we'll probably 3 heal. There's a decent amount of raid damage. I will state though, if anyone missed week 1, we might not do that. I'll talk about that more later in my announcements, but week 1's going to be more just getting Iron Council and getting Yagon farm. But week 2, we're going to go for full Keeper hard mode progression to get to Alglon, so this will be the second hard mode we do.
Wow, not number 1 DPS on that.
I know, right?
SMH my head.
And you can see just from the DPS numbers, like everyone's doing crazy DPS because of the buffs in this fight.
Yeah.
Only 14k? Come on, York. I believe in you.
That's the
I mean, that's
DKs
probably going to be like not a lot compared to now. Like I imagine people will do a lot more.
Yeah. They're like, I'm in the light. This is when I summon Gary. All right, Gary.
So any questions on that?
No, it doesn't really seem like it's too nuanced.
Yeah.
It's one of the funnest fights in the game, but very straightforward.
Do I remember there every once in a while he'll refreeze both the mages, like on occasion if you get bad luck?
Yeah, so what will happen is when he casts the flash freezes, essentially if the NPCs aren't standing on the big snow piles, they'll just all get frozen. So it's kind of random, so you can see it here. So they're kind of all tied. So any NPCs not on there, you can see one right here. I think there's one over there. Any ones that just aren't conveniently right there, they will get frozen. So you can see 4 just got frozen here. And yeah, chances are the mage will probably get frozen, but you could get favorable RNG where they don't.
Okay.
And you can see it's pretty quick to break them out. Like I kind of, it's a good time to use rocket boots for melee if you want to rocket boot to one and go kill one quick and then rocket boot back. I wouldn't say if you're a melee, like don't run all over killing all of them. It's more of a range thing like makes and spider webs. But if any are close, melee should definitely turn and kill, regardless of who they are. Like if it's an easy kill, just kill it real quick.
Depends on the Hodir's percent too, but yeah.
Yes, yeah, for sure. And so the last thing I'll kind of say, during hard mode progression of this, obviously not first week, but second week when we're like, if we have Iron Council down and we're progging this, we will call wipes on this boss if we're not going to make the time frame. This is one of the easiest hard modes in the whole raid, and I definitely think we can do it
if
with our
it's
gear.
a 2 or a 3 minute timer.
Yeah, it does. It depends on that, and it does become harder. That being said, it's not really a crazy mechanic fight. Like it's more of a pump fight, and I think we can get it pretty early.
Yeah. I was just wondering if they've announced it, but
I mean, this guild that I'm showing you right now, sorry, not this YouTube one, but the one of mine on the private server, is incredibly casual, and they were almost making the 3-minute timer, and like their DPS was abysmal. So like I think even if it is 2 minutes, like we could make it pretty early.
No, you're number 2. I mean, I'm kidding. Joke.
No, I mean that's not. That's.
Is that a Shadow Priest number?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
He's no
Shadow Priest is supposed to take off next phase and progressively as we go through, so we'll see. I'm not going to go through all the general strategy, but I believe I have this posted in raid prep with all the guides. Honestly, as someone that's played on the private server, I did Wrath back in the day. I've watched all the tank spot videos. If you guys are just bored and want to read the strats, this is 100% the best thing. All of the strategies, they might not be like the super meta strategies, but it lists all the mechanics and what to do for the most part. It's a good place to start. Okay,
Did you
we're gonna
pin
do
that link anywhere?
it's in raid prep for this
I
one.
know it's in Liberate as well.
So we're gonna try and do one more, or am I pushing it too much there? It'll probably go to 11:30. Is that crazy? It's recorded if any of you have to leave early. Like, it's no big deal.
I'm probably gonna dip. I gotta be up early and I gotta sober up.
Should I just stop it here? Or what do you think, Isaac? Want to do one more?
It's up to you. I don't care. I don't have work tomorrow, so.
Let's do one more. People can just watch it later.
Why does Thorim have 5 achievements? What the hell?
I think only one matters for Gloria the Raider.
Yeah. Oh, he has
Okay.
6 achievements. Excuse me. My fault.
So Thorim is a bit of a tricky fight, to be honest. This one might take a bit longer. The reason being is, let me just pull up my video here. Thorim has 2 main phases. So first off, coming to him, when you come out, you'll kill these guys. They look like mini Algons, and they're kind of throughout this raid. They're very simple. You just have to kill them like core hounds at the same time. If you don't, they'll just one-shot the tank. So, yeah. You just one tank each, and then just hopefully the tank doesn't die. Kill them at the same time. I believe these are mostly just tank and spank one each as well.
Before you get to...
Yep.
Sorry, before you get too far, I'm just gonna tap out now so I don't interrupt you while you're in the middle of it.
Okay, no worries.
Yep.
Peace out.
See you later.
Okay, so we get up to Thorim here. And so Thorim, when you come in, it's like an arena. And so first off, you need to do the arena, and then once you kill the arena, the fight will immediately start. When the fight starts, it will have 2 different kind of places where the fight's starting. One is a gauntlet, and one is an arena. And so you'll have to split the raid between the gauntlet and the arena. How the arena works is just waves of mobs will come at you, and you just need to survive until the people in the gauntlet have completed the gauntlet. Once you complete the gauntlet, that triggers phase 2. So I have a video, I believe, for both. So first off, just a quick note on pulling this initial pack. You can actually delay pulling the boss by mind controlling one of the ads. So generally you just mind control one of the ads in the back. So here's the initial fight.
You're following a traitor.
It's true. For the most part, they just pulled the worm off to the side and sucked down the rest. And that back, I believe it's an acolyte, which are the same as the gauntlet ones. They're a bit dangerous, more of just spellcasters. They'll either sheep or MC it. And essentially, if you keep the acolyte MC'd, you can delay the fight actually starting. You're still in combat, though, I believe, so you can't, like, get a second pod or anything, but it's just if you want to make sure that everyone's ready. They did not pull on the pull timer. How dare they?
Pre-potted.
Okay, here we go. Classic Warlock just seating before the tank hits it. So yeah, this tank just pulls it off to the side here. They're just keeping it alive. Everything else they're pretty much cleaving down. You can see the acolyte, the box is now mind controlled, and so they're just doing some last minute assignments before the fight actually starts. So we're going to talk about the gauntlet first. So the gauntlet, you'll kind of send your A team. Usually it's a lot of melee, but generally the more people in there, the better. You essentially want the absolute minimum amount of people in the arena to survive. You don't want people dying in the arena, but you want to complete the gauntlet as quick as possible and have the majority in, kind of like the A team in there. By A team, I mean you want people that can kick, you want people that are mobile, and etc. The reason you want to do the gauntlet quick is how you trigger this hard mode is you need to do the gauntlet within a certain time frame. So it's kind of like a speed clear of clearing a trash gauntlet, okay? If you do that, the difference between the normal mode and the hard mode is there's an extra kind of untargetable mob that is just casting mage frost abilities like Frostbolt, Frostbolt Volley, Blizzards, and Frost Novas. That's really the only difference. So let's get into the gauntlet. I believe they do it here. I can show you mine too. First off, you're going to have 2 guards usually and an acolyte pack. Now the acolyte is... Sorry about that. The acolytes will cast heals, and I believe he also does some type of chain damage. So it's just very important you get kicks on these. But the biggest threat in here is you see this big guy at the boss, or at the back. This is a mini boss, and so he is holding up his left hand. That means the left side of this, just like Utgard Pinnacle, you know, the third boss where he either flies down the left or right side and does AoE damage. It's the exact same thing. So he's holding up his right hand here, and it's going to come down this left side. You can see the explosions. That will one-shot anyone if you get hit by it, on most servers at least. I think here it doesn't. So I don't know what server this is. My expectation with the Blizzard one is it will one-shot you. So once you clear up to him, just those 2 packs, he's just a little mini boss. I believe this one you just stack on his butt and you just tank and spank down pretty much. I think he has some type of charge or something. Really not that complicated. It's just a mini boss in the actual boss fight. Once you kill him, you'll have a couple more acolyte and guard packs and have to go up the stairs. They're always kind of killing the acolyte here first. And interrupting, and you can see how many people they sent through here. Let me count. 1, 2. I think 13, so about half the raid. And I've seen both strategies. I've seen some raids send more melee. I've seen some raids send more casters. I think the reason is maybe the guards whirlwind or something. I'm gonna check that in a second. So it might be safer to have casters. Personally, I've always done it as a DK though, and never had any troubles going in here. So now the second mini boss here, this one you just need to spread apart on. We'll go over his abilities in a second. I believe he just sets someone to blow up, and then he does a bit of a knockback. Maybe that's another reason why that one sent melee in. Anyways, at this point they've completed the gauntlet, and this is when you'll use your rocket boots. And so you can see here, this is Thorim, and this is Freya, or sorry, not Freya, Sif. Yeah, this is Sif. It's just some RP thing. It's his wife or whatever. If you don't complete this gauntlet quick enough, Sif will leave, and if Sif leaves, you get the normal loot. If Sif is still there when you just jump down and engage the fight, I think you just need to hit him and jump down, and then you engage the hard mode, and Sif will actually join in on the fight. So let me show you the normal fight quick. Before we do that though, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. Let me just go over the add abilities here in the gauntlet, and we'll also talk about the arena.
Smash.
I feel like these names are wrong. These are the 2 big guys. It doesn't have the small guys. I think they're acolytes, if someone wants to look them up. They're Dark Rune Acolyte and Dark Rune Guards, I believe. So, yeah, if you want to look those up in the background, that'd be great. But we'll talk about the other big guys here. So the big guy, this is where we stacked. Right here. So he has a charge. He has a barrier that reduces damage he takes and does arcane damage to attackers. And he does physical damage to all enemies in a cone in front of him. So this might be another reason they don't send melee in, just so they don't, you know, get one shot by this, but just don't stand in front of them. Ancient Rune Giant, that's the second guy. Immobilizes target and they will blow up. So essentially everyone's spreading here, because if you get the bomb, you're going to blow up. I believe that guy just blew up there. So that's why you're spreading. Fortifies nearby allies, does more damage, and he does a stomp and a knockback. Okay, so those are the two big guys. The Acolyte just does heals and smites, so you just kill them first, and let's see the guard.
Acolyte cards. Protector.
Is that not his name? I thought it was. Iron Honor Guard.
Ask Iron. His honor card.
Cleave and hamstring. So yeah, this is probably why they're not sending melee in, and that's pretty reasonable. So yeah, we might send like maybe just the DKs because they're probably the tankiest and they have AMS and stuff. But yeah, we'll probably send more.
You shouldn't be hitting the melee unless they're just pulling threat. Right?
Yeah,
it's
true.
a frontal cleave though, right?
Yeah, probably.
And I want.
We'll see.
Tricks. Tricks threat is OP.
Yeah, I kind of want at least a Hunter, Rogue, DK, and maybe one Warrior, right? You kind of want like a little mini like 5-man team, and then like some ranged, right?
I found a link for it.
All right, yeah, just post it there. I'll look and see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's. Oh, it has that. Okay, so let's go over the arena. Sadly, I don't think I have an arena video. But pretty much the arena, you're just standing in the middle, and it's just a gauntlet, like ads come in. I'm not sure which tank we want where, to be honest. I feel like Isaac maybe being in the gauntlet's better because it's the more important role that, you know, it goes smoothly. That being said, the arena might be more ads, so maybe Isaac's better there. We can kind of leave that up to Isaac and those. But the arena, I've never been in it personally, and in this video he doesn't have it, so I can try and find one later. I think Ruggs has one, but you have the same
really
Acolytes that can heal. Sorry, go ahead.
The actual arena is really straightforward. That
Yeah.
you basically target the acolytes and the casters, and then you go and you clean up melee.
Yeah, makes sense. So it's kind of similar things. You have a warrior here that can charge Whirlwind, MS, Pummel, and low blow. Some rogues, pretty much. Some shamans, it looks like, that can heal. Chain lightning and a shield. This guy buffs some type of like DK type thing. So yeah, it's just.
If he does this, because you can just like you can just arm
if anything, you just like chain fears on the other ones if needed.
Yeah. It looks like. I mean, it sounds like you can
Probably
just
don't
like
even need that.
you can just do big DK stuff, and then you can just get army out, and then army can tank everything.
Yeah, I mean the thing is you're gonna have waves though, because think about how long it. Even in this skill did do the hard mode, and let's see how long it took them.
It's like 3 minutes, right?
So it starts here at 4:04:11. 4:06:20, so like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it is the easier of the two. And so the other thing that's happening in here is you see these little Tesla orbs or whatever zapping people. What will happen occasionally is he will essentially target one. He'll throw his weapon at it, I believe, and charge it or something like that, and it will zap you. Let me pull up the actual thing here.
Is this
So
during
phase 1, charge orb. This is to the arena people during phase 1. So charges orb. The orb, if you're near it, will just zap you for lightning damage. Additionally, he will throw his hammer, doing just like 2k damage to people and knocking them down and stunning. That's kind of annoying. And it will cause this deafening thunder to all nearby. Let's see what this says. Increases spell casting time, so that kind of sucks. This is probably another reason why they don't put tons of casters in the arena, is because they don't want like this
they have whirlwind
less.
arena too, right? So it's like
yeah. Summon lightning orb. This looks like it just doesn't happen. So this is like a wipe mechanic, or you're just, if you try to cheese the gauntlet and no one's in here, he'll wipe the raid. And Sheath of Lightning casts the reducing all damage taken. I think this is a buff on someone, on a arena target he'll give.
that spell stealable.
It's a good question. I don't know, there's no link. Let me pull up, I know where to find the video.
Put dark mode on, please. My eyes. What time is it?
I just have a filter, so it looks red to me.
Was that you, York?
No, it isn't. Some nerd. So yeah, these are the champion, the warriors, dudes. I believe these are the rogues, the dwarf ones. Pretty straightforward. They're literally just sugging stuff as it comes. Let's see who they have in here. They have a warrior, probably a ret pally and a holy pally, I'm guessing. Hunter, DK, 2 shamans, so probably a resto and an enhance maybe, or something like that. DPS, a lock, 2 hunters, rogue, warrior, affliction, unholy, frost.
Yeah, it looks like there's a lot of casters.
Pretty even split, but yeah, probably a bit more melee here.
No feral.
And yeah, they do move out of the whirlwind. Looks like it does clock. So here's the charge here. You can. This guy should just be moving away from that. And that's the hammer. He just throws at people. That dude got knocked down and took some damage. Really not that hard. This is not the hard part of the fight. Doing the gauntlet in a decent amount of time without deaths is the harder part of the fight. The second part, phase 2 of the fight, is very straightforward. So let's go over that. Let me see how embarrassing my video is and if I die. So, let me go back a bit. So you're going to come down, clean everything up, and he's going to join the fight. Now, on the hard mode, you're going to also have Sif join, and so we'll go over what looks different between the normal mode and the hard mode. What he does in the hard mode is not different at all. So he's casting chain lightnings, he's being tanked, and for the most part, it's just tank and spank. It's very important you keep him in the middle, because what will happen is you see this channeled kind of lightning. What this is I don't know if anyone's ever noticed or died to it in Oculus, but I think it's the third or second boss in there. certain quadrants of the platform will be dangerous. So essentially this is warning you, if you're in this quadrant, like this dude right here, you're about to die unless you move. And so what's going to happen in a second, let me see if I can see it. I think I already missed it. But essentially it will shoot out a volley of like a quarter. Now it's happening in this quadrant at the back here, where if you don't move, you'll just get one shot. So that boomkin needs to move a bit. You can see it just shot out like that. And it looks to be pretty narrow, like even he survived. You have to really be kind of standing right in it. Once again, it's just an easily avoidable one-shot mechanic, but you have to be kind of aware. It's way easier to dodge than most void zones and stuff like that, so. Aside from that, there is some tank mechanics. So he's casting something called Unbalancing Strike, so let's check what that is. I believe this is a tank swap.
That's the...
So phase 2 strikes an enemy with a chain lightning.
That's the same. Unbalancing Strike's the same thing from AQ40.
Yeah, so it does 200% weapon damage and reduces their defense skill. So can you one tank this? I wouldn't be surprised at all. Should you one tank it? Probably not. Probably just taunt swap when you get the debuff.
Yeah, at least tauntable.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure most of the bosses in here are tauntable, and it's just a sign that you just
Stack an
I think
extra
that's
200
sexism, but-
defense.
You didn't taunt
So,
on AQ40, you just press shield block and prayed.
Aside from that, he will also actually do the Vash thing, I believe, where he, or maybe he doesn't. Source Torrent. What is this? Oh no, this is the quadrant mechanic. Additionally, so yeah, he'll just get a buff, attack speed buff when these go off, so don't really need to do anything about it. So let's look at the hard mode version, though. It's much more it's not more complicated, but it's just more things to watch. So any questions on that? The normal, it's pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
So they're gonna jump down here, same kind of deal. Phase 2 starts. Sif will hop down in a second. It does a weird thing where it looks like she isn't. So she's just up there. You saw the frostbolt volley she just did. Then she does single target frostbolts in between. Eventually she's going to actually jump down here. So you can see the quadrant to the right starting here. And the frostbolt volley just went out there. So the big danger in this fight is now you have a mob that's casting blizzards, you can see here, and now she's down here, she jumped down, and frost novas, and so it looks like the frost novas around her. So these people just got nova'd, right? So the danger of this is, let's say the lightning's here and you get nova'd in the lightning, that's the one-shot kind of combo mechanic. So you need to be kind of, priests need to be aware of this and be ready to mass dispel if they see that kind of happening. So whenever you see a lightning kind of quadrant spawning, you should look who's in there. Like that boomkin right there might need a mass dispel, and I think he does actually get dispelled so they can run out and not die there. Similarly, this frostbolt volley is actually on a DBM timer, same with the Nova. So here's the Nova going out, and it just went out right around her and just hit those, I think, 4 people there. So it's very easy to time the mass dispels just with the DBM timer around her. And then it's also very easy to coordinate healing and raid DRs with the frostbolt volley. So if you actually watch this video with sound, what they're actually doing is they're using divine sacrifices on every frostbolt volley, so you can see it coming up here.
Just hard cast summon Fell Hunter.
I don't know. But yeah, so she just frostbolt volleyed, and she's doing it like every 5 to 10 seconds. I know you can't do it every one, but you can also substitute this with Aura Mastery for Frost, I believe, too. So we can kind of alternate where a Holy Pally will take turns. So like a Folly can Divine sack 1, and then he can Aura Mastery the next, and then Ice can raid sack 1, Aura Mastery next, and Salve can Aura Mastery 1. Hopefully cooldowns are back up, or Isaac
can
gets
raid
the next
sack.
one, and so
Yeah.
on, right? Hopefully until the boss is dead, before we run out of all of our gas cooldowns.
Ooh, Paladin.
Aside from that, that's it. That being said, it's a much more healing intensive fight than the normal fight. So this is a fight that we could potentially 6 heal. Definitely 5 heal. I don't think we'll drop 5 ever really on this fight. But I think for progression, I would probably prefer to 6 heal this, assuming we can do the gauntlet quickly enough. But I think it just leaves more... Like, this is kind of a control fight. You also have priests dispelling, so they might not be healing as much, so...
You talk about the priest mind controlling the Ed for the...
Yeah, so
boss?
essentially, yeah, at the start you can mind control the Acolyte just to get extra time. Does it go into detail on, like, what the purpose is or the benefits are other than just prep time?
Let
Let me look at your...
not really. You scroll down to, like, at the very bottom there, tips. It's permanent.
Oh, they
though.
can mind control in the arena probably. Oh, and give a buff. Oh, that's pretty sweet. It's good to know. Dark Rune Warbringer. Yeah, those are the DK looking. Not looking guys, but their abilities. So let me go back to these. Oh, it's... Oh, no, it's... Yeah, Melee Strike and Rune Strike. And then they have this Aura. Spell and Haste, yeah. So, yeah, we can definitely exploit that.
It buffs the whole raid, I think, when he casts it. Or
Is it a buff? I thought it was a personal one.
Aura of...
No, it's a buff.
Oh, it's just a raid buff?
I believe so.
True, that makes sense.
I can stack, too, apparently.
Let's see, this... I honestly don't even think you need to follow this. I think it's even simpler on this, but good schematic in case. So that's pretty much it. We'll stop there. I don't want to go too late, but any questions on Thorim?
No, I think we're all good. Alright.
Cool. Thanks for coming, guys. I will upload this to YouTube if anyone missed or wants to watch later. Next week we're gonna go over Freya and Mimron. And so this is kind of our hard mode progression. I want to do Iron Council, Hodir, Thorim, Freya, Mim, and then once we do all that, we can do Algalon 1 hour per week. And so essentially he would be the priority, and then add other hard modes in.
Alright, well, I'll catch y'all later.
Alright. Have a good night.
Chris,
Hey.
dude, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for putting this together, York. Appreciate it, man.
No problem.